Saam met my in die ateljee vandag is Reggie Mchunu en ons praat 'n bietjie oor die gewas, 'n baie kragtige gewas, sorghum. Reggie, welcome to GROOTplaas.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Tell me everything about this crop. What is sorghum? For people who might not know, and it might or might not be me as well.
This is a forgotten crop that has been a stalwart for Africa for ages.
Yes.
Sorghum has been Africa's staple food since Stone Age.
Forever.
Yes.
Yes.
But over the years, we've adopted a variety of crops that we've become acquainted with and have used, like your maize, your rice, stuff that we did not know. But sorghum was our staple food, including cassava, which provided us with starch and provided us with a lot of energy. So it's a crop that has been there but has been forgotten, and we would like to revive it and encourage farmers to think of it and to be able to use it again as,
How does the crop look physically? If you have to identify it.
Okay, it's a short crop with its flower is where the actually sorghum comes from.
Yes.
So, it is widely adaptable, growing very well in dry areas, in marginal soils.
Yeah.
And it does well in those areas. So most of our soils are actually good for sorghum, which is why we are encouraging farmers to think of it or even to include it in their planning, in their cropping. Yeah.
That's why I love conversations like this, is, like you say now, a forgotten crop, but also a very powerful crop, right? Why do you say it holds this power?
I guess because of its heritage, one, but mostly because of its nutritional value.
Yeah.
We are faced with a lot of diseases, if I were to use the word, like your diabetes. And if you speak to health practitioners, sorghum keeps coming up to say, this is a crop that can actually change people's lives because it's high in fiber, so it cleans your colon and it provides with many nutrients to the body. So thus we are encouraging farmers to say, could you consider it, would you reconsider it in bringing it back in order to help the population that is struggling with these various diseases that are there? And that is why, and also for animal feed, it's very good for animal feed. So it's an alternative to your maize. You can also use it, it provides a lot of value to animals,
Do you mind telling me a bit about the heritage? You say it's like since forever, but what's the info? What is that special heritage?
If you look at the African languages, they even have what you call idioms regarding sorghum. Some,
wonderful.
Yes, some that have been forgotten. We find it a lot now. People just associate it with traditional beer. But there were meals that were prepared of sorghum, not just the traditional beer. The traditional beer was the last thing, but the meals that were prepared from it were vast. And the population lived or feasted on sorghum because rice was not there, maize was not there, and sorghum was the thing that provided starch to the majority of the population.
How would you eat it? Or how would you prepare it?
Okay, I personally use it. I use it as porridge in the morning. Very filling and it's beautiful. Some use it as maheu. You find various products even on the shops that contain a lot of this, and you also eat it as what you guys would call a stiff pap.
Stevepap. I love that.
So you get it as that as well, and you can do so many things with it. I'm not a kitchen person. So,
no, but you know what's the wonderful thing? You don't have to be. I think when it comes to, we've got so many amazing crops out there, and when you mentioned a forgotten crop, it really hits deep, because I always wonder, how can something be used for so long and loved for so long, and then it's almost just replaced? Is that how, if we can get emotional about sorghum, is that the story?
Yeah, I personally think that because of commercialization, we're looking at volumes, and so we moved on the side of maize and started producing maize. Forgot about sorghum. Okay, it's got its own disadvantages, mainly being the birds. If you plant sorghum, you have to deal with the birds. So I think that's
a downside.
Yeah, it's a downside. Then people ran away from it. But nonetheless, it still has the value it had, and it can still be utilized.
Where would you say, where would you farm with sorghum, ideally in South Africa?
Okay. Most areas of our country are conducive for sorghum.
Yeah.
I think to begin with, the coastal areas of KZN might not be that conducive because of the high infestation of diseases.
Yes.
So inland would be perfect for it. You're looking at your Free State, which is drier. You're looking at your northwest, Limpopo, most parts of the Eastern Cape, the western part of the Eastern Cape where it's a bit drier. Some dry areas of northern KZN, these are perfect areas for sorghum. Again, the soils are not of much importance. It grows on marginal soils. It will still produce for you very well. So in most parts of the country, you'd produce sorghum without any problems.
Any difficulty?
Yes. Any difficulty.
That's amazing. Are there still farmers farming with sorghum?
There are a few.
A few?
There are a few farmers. You're looking at your areas like Vereeniging, Northwest. That's where a lot of sorghum is being grown, parts of Limpopo. But most farmers are not growing it because they think it's not there anymore. And they think the market is not there. There's a huge demand for sorghum. It's just there are fewer farmers who are planting it.
So I'm basically saying take note here to the viewers. Just take note here. Are there different types of sorghum? Or is it just a one size, one thing? Okay,
we've got two types of sorghums, the sweet sorghum and the bitter sorghum. So most of people prefer the sweet sorghum. But again, as we said, its downfall is the birds.
Yes.
Birds will target it. The bitter sorghum, which we call it's bird proof, because as it is bitter, the birds are also avoiding it. But
so they learn.
Yeah, for volume, if we want to harvest more, then the bitter sorghum would be best. But the sweet sorghum is sweeter and nicer compared to that. And again, sorghum is differentiated into two. We've got white sorghum and the brown sorghum. So in both there's bitter and sweet sorghum. Yeah.
When we get to when we come to the bitter and the sweet, is it then used or ingested in different ways, seeing that it's bitter and sweet?
Yes,
do they have different goals?
The goals are the same.
Yeah.
It's just that the bitter sorghum you harvest more because the birds are not attacking it. So, but in terms of the use, it's the same. Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. Is sorghum healthier for human consumption than corn, wheat, or rice? And it's not a competition, but just in your opinion, what's the health benefits?
I would think by far sorghum is healthier in terms of the fiber that's on it compared to the corn or the rice. And also hearing the health practitioners, how they are saying that people with diabetes and stuff should be going for sorghum, then I would think it's a crop that we need to start considering. Yeah.
Why do you think it's time, like now? We are having this conversation right now because you mentioned, it's time that people realize there's still space and there's a market for something like sorghum. Why have this discussion now? Why do you think that the need for a discussion like this and the awareness for this is needed now?
I think if we look at the climatic conditions, the climate change is affecting farmers a lot. If you look at 2 seasons ago, when we had those lots of rain and suddenly there was drought.
Nothing.
And most farmers didn't harvest a thing just because of that dry spell in January. So sorghum is a drought-tolerant crop, and in such adverse conditions, it comes up top. It will give you the yield that you require, and you will still be able to make your money. Also, because of its nutritional value, we are encouraging farmers to start thinking of it and to be able to use it. Yeah.
Will it work well as a main crop, or is it like an alternative crop, or how would it look ideally?
I think it will depend on a farmer's practice and his aim. But for me, it will be an alternative crop to maize on drier conditions. The market is there, the value is there, so a farmer will still make his money. But I would then maybe diversify as to spread my risk on my farm, not just plant one crop, and if anything goes wrong with that crop, then I lose everything. So just for risk aversion, it would be a better crop to think of.
While you're mentioning that now, I can't help but just smile because, being a farmer is you have to diversify, you have to... the saying, don't put all your chickens in one basket.
Yeah.
I think it can't be more true when it comes to farming, right?
Exactly.
You can't, because you're not in control of the factors.
The risks are just too huge.
Yes.
So you need to spread them to make sure that you're not affected totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it expensive to grow sorghum?
I think it's one of the cheap crops to grow. Okay. And as I said, it does well in marginal soils, which means your production costs are not that high. So it will be easy to produce it. It's a low-cost crop, but it will enhance your yields, and you still get your money out of it. So yes, you can produce it minimally compared to the others.
I always like asking practical questions, and you are our expert here. What should farmers keep in mind when they want to farm successfully with sorghum? I mean, what are some of those practical tips of do's and don'ts? Okay.
There are three things that are considered important in the agronomy sector.
Yes.
One are your climatic conditions.
Yeah.
Be acquainted with your area. Be aware of what is happening around you. Seek advice on climatic conditions. What are the changes? Be on your... Know that, Secondly, it's your soils. I think for most, I've picked up with most African farmers, this is our downfall. If you don't manage your soils properly, expect no yields. Yeah. So if you are able to understand your soils, take soil samples and
regularly
and stick to the recommendations of your soil samples, then you're on the right path. And thirdly, it's your management. If you are able to manage your crop properly, then you are on the right track. Applying your fertilizer correctly. If you are applying your fertilizer, ensuring that your weeds are taken care of, ensuring that the pests are managed properly. Those are very detrimental to your crop. Currently, we're battling with fall armyworm. Sorghum is not a GMO. It's an African crop. It is not GMO, so you cannot rely on any traits that are into it. So you need to make sure that your control is up to standard. And obviously, your hybrid selection in your area. Choose the hybrid that suits your particular area, and then you'll be on the right track.
I want to end off, and I just want to ask you once again, how big do you think the market is potentially for sorghum? Something to be excited about?
The market is there. Yes. It hasn't been tapped into because people have shied away from it. You get brewers that are looking for sorghum. It's not there.
It's not there.
We get calls from guys in Africa calling for sorghum. It's not there. Because if you look at the sorghum that is currently planted in South Africa, it's contracted already. So there's no surplus. So if you were to produce, we would be willing to link farmers with all these markets that we are saying are there.
Reggie, this is a very valuable conversation, and I really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much, and good luck.